You know, as somebody who, I know I date myself a little bit here, but I actually was at the March on Washington with Dr. King back in 1963. And
last but not least, we got Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, there was an event that was held. It's called She the People. It's for women of color. It's about issues that concern them. People have woken up and realized that, hey, women are a pretty big voting bloc. Yeah, like women vote more than men, and there are more women, right? So yeah, you need to speak to their issues directly. There are people who think it's wrong to have, organization that focuses on women issues, because we're all the same. The problem is there are different issues. There is room, and there is a necessity, I feel, to address issues that impact people specifically. People call it identity politics. Hey man, women have problems men don't have. Women have concerns that men don't have. Okay? It's just reality. Everything is not class. There are some things that are women-based, like reproductive rights. I don't know. There's a lot of things. Okay, so we all know that men and women are different in some ways. So anyway, back to my point. Here goes a clip of Bernie Sanders at She the People, where he was asked some questions.
Senator Bernie Sanders learned a couple of other things at that event. Answer the question you were asked and do not name drop Dr. King.
What do you believe is the federal government's role to fight against the rise of white nationalism and white terrorist acts, and how do you plan to lead on that in your first year as president?
okay.
Thank you.
First of all, but we have got to make it very clear that the type of demagoguery we are seeing from the Trump administration is not what this country is about, and I will do everything that I can to help lead this country in a direction that ends all forms of discrimination.
The core of the question is about, as president, what would you do with the rise of white supremacist violence to protect our communities?
Absolutely. You know, as somebody who, I know I date myself a little bit here, but I actually was at the March on Washington with Dr. King back in 1963. And as somebody who actively supported Jesse Jackson's campaign as one of the few white elected officials to do so in '88, I have dedicated my life to the fight against racism and sexism and discrimination of all forms.
Woman who asked the question. She is the former New York City Commissioner of Immigrant Affairs and is the founder and president of New American Leaders. So, Sayu, thank you so much for coming through. And you really asked the question. You even had to have an assist from on stage because it sounds like he wasn't answering your question. Were you satisfied with his answer?
Absolutely not. I certainly wasn't satisfied with the first part of his answer. I think that, I came to that question because in my work with immigrant communities and with people of color, there's just this incredible sadness and fear that has developed over the last few years as we've watched churches being burned, as we watch our young people being killed by police, as we watch our young children being caged. And I brought to that question the weight and the feeling of so many of those conversations. And I didn't feel that we were being seen or heard in that answer.
Let's break this up a little bit. First of all, they said, they've been advertising that Bernie Sanders got booed at this event. And, there was a little bit of that. There was a little, right? I got to admit, it was a little bit of booing, right? But come on, guys, it wasn't that much booing. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like he was at the Apollo. Come on, Sandman Sims didn't come out and start dancing. No one was throwing shoes, like Bush. Oh no, they're throwing shoes. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, hey, you're throwing shoes. Oh, hold on. Oh, hey, where's my birdie? Oh, throwing shoes. Oh, they're throwing shoes. No, it wasn't that bad. I mean, that's what you consider getting booed off stage, booed on stage? Man. It's a tough crowd, man, if you think that's getting booed off stage. So they're overinflating it because they want to give negative coverage to Bernie Sanders. Come on, guys. It's obvious. There's a little pushback. All right, the question that they asked Bernie Sanders, how do you plan to lead to combat white nationalism, white terrorism? And Bernie Sanders started talking about something else. Well, you know, I would want to put the in America, and, you know. Look, guys, this is a mistake. Like, look, I love Bernie. I did countless videos, have done countless videos covering Bernie. I think Bernie is the most progressive candidate when it comes to social issues, bar none in this race. I'm emphatic about that. It's point blank, it's what it is. But unlike some people, I will say Bernie needs to work on this. Bernie has to be able to articulate what he will do. Bernie must be able to speak to this. What would have sufficed? Tim, what could he say? Reparations, Tim? He's going to give money? No, what he could have said was, you know what I'm going to do? When I'm president, in the first 100 days, I'm going to sit down with some women of color, invited to the website, to the White House, and we're going to talk about ways that we can engage. I'm going to bring in people who know more than I do, and we're going to sit down and have an open dialogue, and we will make a plan together of how do we combat this in a realistic term that affects change across this country. That's what Bernie Sanders could have said. It doesn't commit him to do anything other than sitting down and talking. And he gives people hope that he sees this as an important issue. But when he just says blanket statements that are taken out of his stump speech, that is an epic fail. And he must do a better job. Don't just come to me saying black women and women of color and blame them for not electing Bernie when Bernie is not being specific enough. Now, I'm not saying everybody else is being more specific or better. What I'm saying is he has to do better. Stop, please, guys, don't have this belief that liking someone means you don't push them to do better. You want to win or you want to be nice and lose? You want to win or you want to be nice to the person you like and not help them? I'm a good father because I do my best to make my son and my daughter better. Not just because I love them. So Bernie Sanders needs to do a better job in this regard. Be mad, be upset, but realize that that's coming from a place of support. But hey, man, we got to cut the bull crap. Now, the second part of the question, when they redirected it, they said MLK. Bernie said, well, MLK, I marched with MLK. And people start booing that part. Now, this, I get why they did it, all right? But this is politics. This is what people do. But people, you got to understand, people are tired of politics, man. People are tired of being done the same old way. That is not something that Trump would have just started spewing stuff, right? Bernie is real. He's a politician who's not going to just throw stuff against the wall. He's in a catch-22. This would have worked 8 years ago. In fact, I would have wanted him to say this 8 years ago, but we're in a different place now. I wanted people to know about MLK, his connection to MLK, the March on Washington, but now we're in a different place. Now it's got to be tangibles. This is the climate of America now. Bernie, get people on staff who get it. Bernie, get people on staff who will direct you and assist you, that you respect, who are unabashedly black people, not just look like they black, but know what black people and people of color are really about. What's got them turned up, all the way up. What's really on their minds. If not, it's going to be a hard way to go, guys. And people are going to be upset. They're going to be blaming minorities, blaming blacks, and blaming all these people. But it's also about who he's around, who's instructing him. All right? Can't just talk about what you did with Jesse Jackson. What did you do recently? What are you going to do is the real question. What are you going to do? Be more concrete. Be very specific. Give people hope in what you're going to do, and then follow through on it. That's all. I'm not saying just pull stuff out. Oh, I'm going to give everybody a pony, and I'm going to give everybody a Bernie. a Bernie that landed on the podium. No, just be specific about plans to do stuff. People, by and large, are really amicable. Just like give them a plan of stuff you want to do. All right, there's the second part of this that I want to get to. All right, I see I got a lot of super chats going on, but let me play the next clip of Bernie. Well, this is the panel in general responding to questions, and you'll see how some of the other people at the event responded.
So,
why should women of color choose you?
So, it's...
We'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
Take your time.
I will. Not something that I'm owed, not something that I expect, something that I fully hope to earn by the work that I do on the campaign trail, by showing up and listening to the people that I want to serve.
There is a long history of work I have done, including my mentorship of young women of color in politics and in the professions. And I would stake my reputation in terms of what I will do going forward based on what I've done, and I believe you can judge me that way.
So women of color can trust me as someone for my entire career has been rooted in the communities that have empowered me to be who I am today. From taking on issues that are loyal to my communities that aren't talked about enough.
My entire life, I have fought for justice. I fought for justice in the Senate. I've been a lead on many of those bills involving voting. The second thing is looking at our economy, where African-American women have not been treated fairly.
That we cannot transform this country unless millions of people, black and white and Latino, Asian American, Native American, stand up and take on the very powerful, greedy special interests who dominate the economic and political life of this country.
Coming from Hawaii, have a unique experience that I bring to the forefront and that I feel is so strongly needed in this country. Those values of putting service above self is what I will bring to the White House.
I have dedicated my time in public service to making sure that people just like my mother and my grandmother could do better in this country. I have a track record of getting things done for vulnerable communities, especially women of color, and that is exactly what I will do if I'm elected President of the United States.
I'm going to ask you a slightly different twist on the question we've been asking everyone, because there's a fear in a lot of people of color and a lot of women of color that say after the experience of 2016, they don't have the confidence in the electorate of this country to elect a woman president.
This is the heart of it. It's how are we going to fight? Not just individually, but how are we going to fight together? Are we going to fight because we're afraid? Are we going to show up for people that we didn't actually believe in, but because we were too afraid to do anything else? That's not who we are. That's not how we're going to do this.
That was everyone giving the same question, basically. Let's start with Beto O'Rourke. Now remember, I realize that this is a short clip. This is like 20 seconds of each person, so it's not a full view of what they spoke about or how well they connected with the audience. But Beto O'Rourke shows that he is full of crap, in my opinion. Beto O'Rourke proves that he is an empty suit. The man literally had to pause so he could remember his stump speech. Didn't look to me to be just born to be in it. In what? Drowning in our own platitudes? Couldn't really get up and do the whole arm thing. So maybe he's been listening, because I'm surprised he didn't jump up and stand up on the chair and, and I am a part of you, and we together can climb the wall of the lift up each other and form Voltron against problems that arise. Air traffic control. I mean, come on. Moving on to Kamala Harris. Now, I've been telling people, Kamala Harris is going to be a force to be reckoned with because she articulates well. All right? I'm trying to tell you, I'm warning you. I think that Kamala Harris is an empty suit, just just a different type of suit. It's a I don't know, it's a suit you buy on Rodeo Drive. Nice, in a nice boutique, but it's still a suit, okay? It's still empty, and she's in it. All right, so, but she said, look at my record. I think my record to speak for itself, which is harkening back to things that I've done. Things that I've done. Okay, so, and plus she was playing on a very friendly field. From what I understand, woman of color dominated it, and she's a woman of color. So women are going to they're going to do a lot better in this forum. The guys that show up, they're going to have to take one for the team when they show up in an event like this. Okay? But unless your name is Cory Booker, I don't understand. Like, Cory Booker just comes across like too nice a guy. Just not, I don't know, man. Am I alone in this? Like, I want to believe that it's this redeemable stuff with Cory, and like Rosario Dawson's I respected the hell out of her, and I keep looking because Rosario, I've been following her more than her acting, with her activism, and I know her and Cory Booker are dating, and I'm like, Rosario's got to see something in him. Because she's a real stand-up. She supported Bernie and then Jill. She's been supportive of, environmental justice and climate change, so fighting climate change. It's got to be something I'm overlooking. And when I sit back and I watch Cory, I just always, I'm always disappointed, left going, what you talking about, Cory? Speak directly. Who's telling these people? All right. Amy Klobuchar did pretty well in that clip, or at least people responded well to her. But I'm going to tell you, she did something, Amy Klobuchar did something in that short amount of time from that snapshot that no one else did. She talked about economic justice. Yeah. I was with my doctor getting my annual checkup today, which I need to do more annually, to be honest with you. And we had the same conversation how when there's a black-related issues, they always want to talk about criminal justice. If you fix economic injustice, you will, in essence, fix crime and criminal justice in a large amount, because most crime is connected to economics. I've never seen a brother who had a good job or had a small business that was earning a good living out selling drugs or out doing whatever, breaking into people's cars or whatever. It's always people struggling at the fringes, people who are down and out, people who have no hope, who are most susceptible to a life in that world. Any country that you go to on the globe and people are poor, there's going to be crime. But in America, somehow we've attached that to color. So anyway, Amy Klobuchar gets it, at least in that moment. And I'm not an Amy Klobuchar fan. I have no intentions of voting for Amy Klobuchar. But in this particular snapshot, she said something that needs to be said. Economics are important to African-American women. They're important to African-American women, Native American women, Asian-American women, Black, white American women, Latino American women. Whatever you are, economics play a high part. From everything from the family to the kids to the environment that you raise them in, everything in between. Now, how do you think Bernie did? Do you think it's just a conspiracy against Bernie Sanders here? Bernie started talking about his stump speech. I know Bernie's stump speech enough to know that's part of his stump speech. Be you, Bernie. Talk about your mom, Bernie. Say, my mom, Jewish mother, never got to fulfill her dreams, lived in a one-bedroom apartment, died early in life, who never got to live the American dream. Talk about that, Bernie. How am I moving people more watching my broadcast, telling your story, than you can tell your own story? Right there, that should have been what you said. Now, I don't know if he did say that, because this is just a snapshot, and it is MSNBC. Nobody but Clinton Network. They could have just left it out. He could have said it. I'm trying to help. If you work for Bernie Sanders, if you know somebody who worked for Bernie Sanders, make a clip of me saying this and send it to them. It's free. It's on the house. All right. Being Jewish is a minority. Use it. They're using everything. You don't hear Peter Buttigieg going, hey, let's not talk about me being... No, he's fighting with Mike Pence, picking fights with Mike Pence, using his orientation, when using his, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, when asked, what'd she do? Start talking up here. Be specific, Tulsi Gabbard. I love you, Tulsi Gabbard. I respect the heck out of you. I think you're amazing. I love your foreign policy. You got to get better on domestic issues, sister. You got to talk specifically about things that are impacting women, women of color, black women, Latino women. We got very specific issues in their communities. Very specific. You know this stuff. Kill it. Do it. That's what has to be done. If Tulsi Gabbard can connect domestic policy and make it half as intriguing, half as vulnerable, half as real, and she make her foreign policy, she will be triple her fund donations. I'm being selfish. We need this from her as a country. The country and the world needs Tulsi Gabbard to go far in this race. Do you want to be her friend? Do you want to just say nice things and platitudes? Or do you want her to actually change this country for us? Some of us have a different agenda. We just want to do like Simone Sanders and get on the campaign and pick up a paycheck and be seen with people and to get views off people. My job is to move the candidates in the direction they need to go to make this country better for me, my kids, my grandkids, and your kids, and kids I'll never meet across the world. We all have to make a decision what we're about. Instead of making videos tearing down the opposition or tearing down one another or any of this stuff that we're just focused in. I want Tulsi Gabbard to be a better politician at this moment. This is her time. You have to talk domestic issues. Julián Castro did a good job here. Because, why? He's a person of color. So people think he's had it harder. And he has. This is America. Like I said, who we are. This is not who we are. This is exactly who we are. And he started talking about what he did at HUD. Asking us all to analyze his record. I have not dug into his record. Are there things in his record that we could be talking about that aren't so positive? I think there is. Some of it was inherited by Sean Donnelly, Sean McDonald, whatever his name was, former HUD secretary. But like I said, I don't know. But he talked about vulnerable people, and he talked about his track record. Last but not least, Elizabeth Warren. Folks, hey, I know people are upset Elizabeth Warren endorsed Hillary Clinton. I know people are upset that Elizabeth Warren did not go to Standing Rock, though she had no problems claiming Native American heritage. I know people disagree with her tactics, as do I, with the way she dealt with their DNA test with Trump, back and forth, and basically caved into him. I don't understand. By playing his game, when that's not you. It's not you. You don't play his game. You got to play your position the way you play. Score the way you score, Elizabeth. So all of that being said, Elizabeth Warren has policies. Yeah. Student debt forgiveness. Student loan debt forgiveness. Anti-redlining compensation bill, a bill about redlining. These banking institutions, not to lend, not to give loans to black people. I was fighting it in the 80s. People talk about our issues like they were back just slavery. That's it. You got jackasses like Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson making the case that reparations for black people is just about slavery. And then I have a lot of lefties who like Tucker Carlson, who could care less about what I'm saying. But in the 80s, I was a volunteer and an organizer trying to combat redlining that was happening in the late 80s. Because it still goes on now. It was still going on in the 80s up to the 90s. Where black people were not getting loans, where they were saying anybody from this zip code, predominantly, you know how segregated America is, predominantly black areas were not getting loans. Elizabeth Warren actually has legislation that addresses it. I don't know if it's going to fix it. I don't know if the legislation is going to pass, but she has it. So when people say, oh man, what about Elizabeth Warren? She's not progressive enough. Make your policies and your rhetoric match your heart. And at some point, the rubber's going to meet the road, guys. Hey, look, at some point, rubber's going to meet the road. And who people really are is going to start to show. We got a lot of people in this field. We all know what it's for. It's to stop Bernie Sanders. They want to push this vote to the second vote so the superdelegates get to weigh in. Yeah, we'll change the rule. Now we got 800 Democrats running for the nomination, so we got to go to the second vote. What say you, superdelegates? We all know what this is about. Back to Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, contact me. You were right there. The reason I know Elizabeth Warren is right there in the hearts and minds of a lot of people, because I've had people who are not political, people who don't watch debates often, people who don't read and consume a lot of content of a political nature, actually reach out to me and say, hey, who's this lady with the glasses who I saw on CNN? She was good. I like her. She was speaking some real shh. Now, you think that's anecdotal. But when I hear it from people who are not into politics, who are not progressive, at least they don't even know what that term means. You say progressive, they be like, I got insurance, man. I'm with, Geico. They don't even know what progressive means. If those people are perking up when they hear Elizabeth Warren, that means Elizabeth Warren is doing something right. It doesn't matter how good you are or how right you are if you don't win. All right, guys, that's it. I love you. Thank you for being here. Now we go to the phone calls. Phone calls. Before I go to phone calls, though, dial in, guys, so you get in here. This show is brought to you by people like you. You may not always agree with me, but I'm always giving you everything I got. I tell you as honestly as I can, but I cannot kiss butt. I refuse to kiss butt. I had a job where I had to do that years ago. I worked a regular 9 to 5, or 8 to 4, or sometimes 8 to 8, okay? When I had bosses, I had to kiss butt, had to make people happy. Now I just got to do my job. I just got to speak truth to power. Keep it real. If you want to be a part of that, become a member of my Tim Black Wolf Pack. Do so on Patreon or Facebook or YouTube.